We're back in odd crossover territory. This time with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles x Naruto. It's a collab between Viz Media and IDW Publishing. Now some crossovers feel like they came more out of left field than others, or are just perhaps not something one may have thought of. And then when one sees it, sometimes it's, I've been waiting for this my whole life, or, but why though? This outing seems to have caught some by surprise, although some got into it the more they thought about it. And I must admit I was curious, and the art looked nice. So I checked out the first 2 issues that they have available. And now I want to talk about this crossover. Does it work? Is it fun? I'm Sasha, this is Comics. Let's cross the streams. But before we get started, we have a sponsor today. I'm thrilled to once more be working with GlobalComix. GlobalComix is a digital entertainment platform that is home to many comics, and their library is expanding. They're adding a bunch of works from IDW Publishing. They're doing a week-by-week rollout throughout the month of March of 2025, and each week has a highlight, a specific IP that's foregrounding everything. It's already started time of recording, so let's see what's coming or what has already arrived. March 5th was Star Trek Week. Week 2, March 12th, we have Sonic the Hedgehog and Godzilla titles. Next for Week 3, March 19th, we have My Little Pony and Lock and Key. And finally, Week 4, March 26th, the week that got me back to the headspace for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because there's a lot of that coming in Week 4. So if you've ever been curious about what's going on with IDW Publishing, now's a great time to explore. GlobalComix is really convenient. You can read anywhere. It has a very intuitive UI. You can also download comics and use the app in an offline mode. Many of the titles have panel-to-panel formatting. I use this app almost daily, and it's a great way to check out comics both new and old. It's just a lot of fun to use. And if you're interested in checking them out, I do have a code you can use. You can sign for free, or you can get a membership for access to more issues and titles at once. I have a link for you down below in the description, and if you click the link, you can use my code GCXCasually for 33% off your membership. If you love comics like I do, I think it's well worth it. There's always exciting things dropping on it, sometimes things you might not expect, just as some may not have been expecting the crossover we're about to look at today. Both TMNT and Naruto are works with strong fan bases and long history. There's a decent amount of lore there, but let's do some historical cliff notes. Naruto, the popular shonen manga by Masashi Kishimoto, follows the adventures of Naruto Uzumaki, who is a ninja with a fox demon imprisoned inside of him with dreams of leading his village. It's a coming-of-age story and a tale of overcoming, finding strength in what may at first appear negative. Now, the manga series first ran in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1999 to 2014, and it's collected into 72 tankobon volumes. Still nowhere near One Piece numbers, those are rookie numbers. It gained overseas popularity not only because the Shonen Jump magazine would be translated, and I'm now having so much regret that I gave all of my Shonen Jump to my little brother because I could have held it up. However, on top of that, there was an anime adaptation, and that did quite well. The first Naruto ran from 2002 to 2007. The second series, Naruto Shippuden, ran from 2007 to 2017. So there's a whole group of people for whom Naruto has just simply been around. Also, I'm now having flashbacks to when it was first coming out and how people would yell at you if you weren't pronouncing the names the way they felt you should. If you were a noob of the community, especially Sasuke, that was, oh, what a time. Did you ever see those fights where people would yell at people for calling Sasuke Sasuke? I did. Those are the not fun parts of anime fandom. Now, on top of those series, there have also been spin-offs, and there's a sequel series, Boruto. Now, that same sense of ubiquity, time of recording, can be applied to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That series was created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird and debuted in 1984 in the comic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was published by Mirage. The series follows 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, named after Renaissance painters and their masters. They protect New York City from the Foot Clan. That's the Cliff Notes edition of the plot. It was meant to be a one-shot, but it became popular and it grew. Funnily enough, Naruto was similarly expanded after 2 one-shots that the author had done, because the character was so well received. So both these works had strong fan reactions out the gate. Now, the Turtles comic outing was mature, gritty, black and white, but it also had some parody elements, particularly from Daredevil at the start. Those were very obvious. From the Turtles' origins encountering the spilled ooze to their main enemy of the Foot Clan rather than the Daredevil's the Hand. Their mentor was Splinter rather than Stick. The series had a complicated publication history, but the Turtles have been fairly consistent in publication, just changing who's doing it, with some creative changes along the way. And this is partially because of where the Turtles start to get their mainstream appeal. They were popular enough to be licensed out for merch and adaptation, but the adaptation is where it really explodes with the 1987 cartoon. It cannot be understated that that was a phenomenon. The merch, the endless merch. It would also have a lighter and at times goofier tone. This is something that at the time the creators said they were fine with, but years later you can find quotes of them saying that no, they're not actually that fine with it. It was that depiction from the animated series that really cemented itself inside the cultural mindscape. And going forward, it would influence things like the movie adaptations and then even further animated series. At least every decade there's another one. And so it feels as though each generation has their their own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the comic is still going in various forms. Some take it back to the original tone, some have the lighter tone. A lot of the things from the adaptations have bled back. So now that we know a little bit about the two works, what about putting them together? Now, right away, there are some similarities. There's the ninja elements, the coming of age, themes of vengeance. So there are some things to work with. They're not completely dissonant, but how does it come together? This crossover series is written by Caleb Goldner, with art by Andre Prasetya. Colors Raul Angulo. Goldner has done a bunch of turtle stuff for IDW Publishing. The tone of the turtles in this in general is lighter, and just the whole thing appears more geared towards a bit of a younger audience. It's really trying to embrace the tones of both series, but in terms of the turtles, not the Mirage series. Now, when it comes to a crossover, one of the first questions is, how is it functioning? What world are they in? Is this an isekai type thing where somebody was pulled into another world, or are they just both existing? And if so, which one is at the forefront, and do they ever acknowledge it? Now, when it comes to this series, the home base universe is Naruto's, and the turtles are being incorporated into it. You can see that right away in terms of how April's home is described as Big Apple Village. However, there's still gonna be some of the tech level from the TMNT universe. So there's gonna be some just go with it energy. There tends to be with series like this. On how the universe is set up, the author stated, yes, I have quotes today, Team 7, that's the Naruto team, will actually be headed to a new version of the TMNT's turf. We metaphorically, and I guess literally, added a TMNT section to the world of Naruto for this story so we could make it feel as lived in and authentic as possible. Now, as for the first issue, it opens with Team 7 on an escort mission. They gotta take April O'Neil back to her village safely. There's also an opening info page that explains who she is alongside of Team 7. There's also some nice foreshadowing done. It's from Kakashi when Naruto stops to help a turtle that slipped onto its back. Turtles can handle themselves. Show nature more respect. It's true, especially if they're mutant teenagers. One of the things that'll be recurring across the first two issues is that there is a lot of exposition, because the series does take a bit of an approach of what if the person coming into this was new, but not just a little new, a complete noob. So there are many details, and the way they're gotten across is that largely April or the turtles are explaining things to Team 7 because it's them coming into that universe. Or rather, they've always been there, but in terms of the series, they haven't encountered each other. What's interesting is that there are more verbal details given for the Turtles universe than for the Naruto one. But there you'll have lots of visual details. So it comes across as though one assumes that the reader may have more knowledge of that universe, or that the author does. I have a quote later on that kind of indicates that that may be the case, because those elements thus far 2 issues in aren't explained with the same painstaking clarity that the turtle stuff is. Now, because of all this exposition, if you're super familiar with the turtles, there may be a bit of a get on with it feeling that takes hold. Although it may also be fun to see how the turtles are placed into this universe. Stockman dreamed of creating innately powerful super soldiers, possessing the fiercest traits of humans and animals. Combining humans and animals to create monsters, huh? Sounds dangerous. You can see in those panels how the visual parallels being shared assume that one knows things about the Naruto universe. Like who Orochimaru is. I never thought I'd be talking about Naruto on this channel. It's odd. The streams are truly crossing. Also, having some of those little details like that, maybe one can get in the weeds as to when this is taking place in terms of the arcs. Now, aside from explaining the history and why they're escorting April, she has vital information about the ooze. Well, there's lots of fighting. Let them fight. We get to see Team 7 against the Foot Clan. Well, almost. And more importantly, what many hope for when they have these kinds of series, we get to see them against the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who have on some great masks. It's one of those fights that could have been solved with a conversation. In fact, April lets it happen. It's a misunderstanding because the turtles are there to get April. They assume that maybe she's being kidnapped, and she does not correct them, and so she can film it. So it's your classic misunderstanding fight, but what it really is a chance to see the characters use their skills and moves against each other. And from that standpoint, it's a lot of fun. You get to see who goes up against who and what moves they use. They pair them off by color. So Leonardo versus Sasuke, Raphael against Sakura, and Naruto gets to take on 2 in Donatello and Michelangelo. They're also meant to be matching them a bit on personality on top of color scheme, although it is fairly rudimentary framing. Leo is the leader, sort of, and he assumes that Sasuke is as well, and that's why he goes for him. He's got that brooding energy. Mikey is the hip, fun one with catchphrases, because that bled back from when he was first adapted in 1987. And so him and Naruto end up getting along very well. They got that fun, joyful energy. Now, of course, we have Splinter versus Kakashi, because they're both mentors and teachers. So if one takes this for what it is a really fun sequence. It goes on for a bit too. Now, if one was looking for something deeper, or doesn't agree with who's being paired up with who and why, it may feel lacking. At the end of issue 1, they're revealed to be mutants. And also it's shown that Kakashi knew Hamato Yoshi. It's all coming together. Now, if issue 1 was the let them fight issue, issue 2, on top of there being more exposition, even more details about what was going on with the turtles and how they came to be, then it's also the bonding issue. This time, Team 7 gets to be taken to the turtles' lair to see the underground. That was, what did you say during the tour? Radical. I'm glad you think so. I'm sure your place is way nicer though. Not exactly. I grew up alone. I've been lucky. Even though I've caused trouble, my teachers and friends make me stronger. Just replace my voice with the voices of your choosing. Dub or sub. You can fight about that in the comments too. Now, issue 2 does get a bit more into the Naruto side of explaining things. However, again, it still assumes you have that knowledge. It just drops the term Jinchuriki without giving it a description box or anything. Although it does kind of explain what it means for Naruto and the spirit sealed inside him. This is the one that also starts to set up a bit of what the conflict is going to be that they're going to face together. And it's going to be on the turtles' baddie side, or so it looks like. And also there's this great panel of all the baby turtles eating pizza, and it's adorable. There are some nice homages to the Mirage era and the Turtles flashbacks because they keep the color to a minimum, and it really makes their masks pop. Now, who they're gearing up for is Shredder. And issue 2 does do a bit more of the we're the same, you and I, than issue 1 did, because it is the bonding issue. So it does things like after they explain what the ooze is and how it changes them, it has Team 7 come to an understanding of they're just like them, that this change gave them a family and a chance to fight back, despite on the surface it being a bad thing, you know, because it's a mutagen. You're the same. In your case, I'm the ooze. Thanks, Kurama. Kurama just popping up to say, we're the same, them and us. April also drops in as a reporter. April has some of the most abrasive lines. She's not abrasive, she's fun, and she has her cute moments as well, but she also has these moments where she's just causing trouble. Now they of course have a let's get pizza moment because it would not be a Turtles crossover without it. They need to all get together and have pizza in the sewer / underground lair as God intended. However, before this can happen, they're set upon by the Foot and Orokusaki, aka Shredder. Also, this is one of the versions that omits Nagi, just, you know, for time. It doesn't have that much time. And so they're setting up yet another fight for issue 3. So how is it? It's fun and it works, but also here's some caveats. This is very much a just go with it kind of work. It has this kind of energy where it's clearly having fun with the concept and just going for it and wants the reader to do so too. And if one does, they'll have a much better time with it. If one falls down the rabbit hole of how do they have functioning video game systems? Why is Big Apple Village so built up compared to the other villages? If that kind of thing starts to happen, it may lessen the enjoyment. And there are some for whom they want those kind of details really ironed out. They want everything to line up. And if that's the case, this may not be the kind of crossover they're looking for. This type of crossover is not for everyone. It also does have a lot of exposition. And so for some, it may feel like a retread and they may wish there was more story itself outside of explaining the histories and how / why the teams are more similar than it may appear. Although again, on the other side, some may enjoy seeing this play out inside of this universe. Even though it's a retelling, it may be fun. Or again, for some, it may be new information. Now the plot so far is not the deepest. It's more reasons just have these two together. Because the point of this is more, let's have fun with the idea of these two groups together. And if one enjoys that, this is a very enjoyable comic series. And the art is very dynamic and the fights feel action-packed. The characters are a bit more surface, but there are a lot of them and not a lot of time. So that's why they're going with their more identifiable and obvious traits. In terms of here's a crossover, it makes much more sense than it may at first appear because of those core similarities between the works. And this is the kind of series where I can see someone who's new to one or both of these properties maybe wanting to see more of them, which is always at least a little part of the function. You hope that somebody that picks up something will get invested and want to see more. Now, in terms of it making sense, the author stated, the magic of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I never know if I was supposed to say X or meets, X Naruto, is pretty self-evident. But the main reason it works, in my opinion, is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a concept already has so much innate shonen energy. I mean, I've always loved the 2 Japanese Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle anime OVAs and the resulting toys. I could easily imagine a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series created specifically for Shonen Jump. One of the fun things about this crossover as well is that it is something that kids could pick up and read and potentially think it's cool, which if you have kids, as I do, it's a bonus. However, even without that, for me, this is just a quick pick it up, it's a good time type of read. Because it was so thought out, it does have an internal logic and consistency, at least to its own universe, and it just has some visual elements that are pleasant in terms of how they've been put together, such as aligning the groups by color. It's aesthetically pleasing. Now, in terms of why it feels so authentic to Naruto's world, the author has talked about being a fan of not just that series, but Samurai 8 and even Boruto. I'm not sure why I said even. I guess I'm still remembering all those Boruto forums. On the process, he stated, research is always key when you're writing for established characters. So I reread a ton of the Naruto manga, not only the early Team 7 adventures, which loosely feed into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto miniseries, but also the Shippuden era. Early in the pitching stage, I wanted to figure out as many potential story scenarios as possible to give all of the project stakeholders flexibility. me. So I rewatched several Naruto movies and sat my original 2003 Bandai Naruto Sasuke and Kakashi figures on my desk as faux totems of power. Where's Sakura? Why does she not have a figure? I'm joking. Get the characters you like, put them on your desk. I would probably just have Sasuke. I thought this was fun so far, and it seems like it will continue to be so, and I just wanted to share it with you, to talk about with all of you. Have you been reading it? If you did you enjoy it? Did you know this was happening? Are you a fan of the Turtles? Are you a fan of Naruto? All of these are just my thoughts, and now I want to hear yours. Please leave them down below. While you're down there, please do all YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks so much to GlobalComix for sponsoring this video, and if you're interested, their link is down below. As always, I appreciate you taking some of your day spent discussing comics with me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.